And good morning, Man Hour Nation. NFL Super Wildcard Weekend is officially over. Moving on to the divisional round. Now all the good teams get to play, right? 49ers and Ravens have their games locked in. Ravens are playing the Texans. 49ers are playing the Packers. Oh my. But there's a thing happening across the landscape where we got to talk about. Firing playoff coaches. Is this a possibility on Overreaction Tuesday? But first.
And now, Mike's thoughts.
The amazing career of Jason Kelce has inevitably come to an end. He reportedly told his teammates after the loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last night that was his last game. You could tell that he was definitely in a emotional spot during the last, quarter of the game or so. With that being said, is Jason Kelce one of the greatest centers of all time? Is Jason Kelce going to be listed as the GOAT as a center? Many people are saying probably, yes, but the reason why Jason Kelce is so popular, the reason why Jason Kelce is so loved is because of New Heights podcast. Let's just be honest about it. My wife actually came to me to the news this morning. It's like, hey, did you hear about Jason Kelce? I'm like, no, what happened? Did he die? Obviously, I was joking, but you definitely knew the writing was on the wall. We had a debate, and long story short, she thinks he's hot because he's a nice guy, but Jason Kelce, you are not the greatest center of all time. Obviously, that is going to go to Jeff Saturday. Jeff Saturday is probably one of the best centers of all time. He was known for his crungy, watch tape of Jeff Saturday. He was the man, the myth, the legend. There was nobody greater than Jeff Saturday. Jason Kelce is pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. You know what Cindy hoped for? She hoped that Jason Kelce retires for a year, gets the itch about midseason next year, and then comes to the Kansas City Chiefs and wins a Super Bowl. Those are her words, not mine. Cue that intro. Are you ready for the best damn NFL show on the planet? Man Hour Nation, rise up.
You don't want to be every time, no. I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that then. While I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know who's coming to the stage. Sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that. Go. You know that that's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the core. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, then listen some more. On all your stations, not dropping no music. Stripes like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs, you know what's going on. Man, now we're After Dark, no LA, we the big spark. No 4th and inches, won't cut short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzz beaters. We coming live all through your speakers, go.
And what is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buck out here with the Man Hour. Return over to manhourradio.com. We have some stuff dropping over there on the website that you guys are going to like very, very much so. You can now stream every NFL game over there for free. That's right. Head over to manhourradio.com. Starting next NFL season. Actually, you can do it now. We're testing it now. Make sure to get all the kinks out now for next season. But if you have a game like the Raiders that, nobody wants to show on national television and you don't have NFL Sunday Ticket, come on over to manhourradio.com. Check it out. And bada bing, bada boom, you can watch the Raiders game. You can also talk shit with people in the chat as well. It should be a lot of fun. It should be a lot of fun. But we got to welcome some people into the chat. Here we got my man Wayne G in the chat. He says, congratulations on finishing second in the Manhattan Wildcard Pick'em. Man Hour. Oh, Lord. Wayne G wants to come out firing instantly. My man Wayne G is like, you know what? We're better than you over here at NFL Experts, and we outpicked you. It is what it is, Wayne G. It is what it is. At the end of the day, we would have whooped your ass if the Cowboys would have won. If the Browns would have won. If the Rams would have won. but it is what it is. John Peoples is in the chat as well. He says, nope. David Dabley Mike Webster is the best center of all time. He's the best center of all time. I don't know who that is. I guess I have to go back in my archives in 1942 to check that out. But it is what it is. My man Carson Lang is in the chat. He says, too much of this GOAT talk. Everyone is the GOAT of everything. We have one GOAT, and that is MJ, head and shoulders above the rest. Also, Bills Mafia. First of all, Michael Jordan is not even the greatest basketball player in the NBA. That goes to LeBron James. Everybody knows that. John's also said, undefeated through Wildcard Weekend, the Wizards, so to speak. Apparently, John got all of the Wildcard games correctly. So it is what it is. Caroline's in the chat as well. He says, how about them Buccaneers? Listen, the Buccaneers played a pretty good game. I thought, what was it, right before halftime, maybe going in the third quarter, was like 17-9. I was like, okay, slow it down, baby. Slow it down. The Eagles are coming back. Hoffy was in the old trash talk group there talking his shit. He says, Wayne G, how about those picks, right? Whatever, yada, yada. I was like, oh, shit, Hoffy, you better slow it down. The Eagles are about to come back and whoop that ass and make you look silly. But they failed on the tush-push 2-point conversion, and I think that legitimately deflated the balloon for the Philadelphia Eagles. When they could not get 1 yard on that Buccaneers defense for that 2-point conversion, you basically saw the air go out of that room 100%. And we've got my man Arthur Brown in the chat. He says, what up, bot? Good game. Listen, Arthur Brown, I would love to play the Miami Dolphins over and over and over again. It just, for some reason, I think the Chiefs and the Dolphins do match up really, really well. And there's starting to be that little rivalry happening, right? Meaning much like the Bills versus the Chiefs, and the Miami Dolphins are now starting to come up and challenge the Chiefs as well. Maybe the Chiefs should just move over to the AFC East so we have a little bit more competition. Sorry, John, Jim. But yeah, stop with the LaFlop claim. Listen, LaFlop is the greatest of all time. And Wayne G says, MJ isn't even better than Wilt. Brady is the GOAT. Bill Belichick is the GOAT. Barry Bonds is the GOAT. I do like those GOAT talks. We did have Hoffy on. He is not on the link there. I don't know if his computer died or what, but it is what it is. We got to roll with the punches and deal with the pain, guys. But it is Tuesday, and that means one thing and one thing only. It is time to overreact to a lot of things out there. Overreaction Tuesday is there. Myself and Hoffy have been putting out some feelers and kind of testing the waters there to see if people agree with us or disagree, or how are they feeling at the end of the day. And it's simple. We are going to overreact. We're going to over or underreact to it. And the first one of the day is going to go out to the Philadelphia Eagles. The first one of the day is going to go out to their head coach, Nick Sirianni. And the overreaction, or the statement is, and we need to determine if it's an overreaction or underreaction, that Nick Sirianni needs to be fired from Philadelphia. When we look at Nick Sirianni this season, they were 10-1. Granted, many people said that this was a facade, right? This was a bunch of smoke and mirrors. They had an easy schedule, but the Eagles were not very good. But at the end of the day, guys, they were still 10-1. They were still 10-1. Going into the San Francisco 49ers, got blown out, the wheels fell off the wagon, and they never could recover. When we look at Nick Sirianni's career record for the Philadelphia Eagles, he is 34-17 in the regular season and 2-3 in the postseason. So, guys, is it an overreaction that I say that Nick Sirianni should be fired? And Eagles fans, rest of the NFL, y'all are way overacting. Y'all need to be patient and stop freaking out about this man, because Nick Sirianni did just lead the Philadelphia Eagles to the Super Bowl last season. That alone gives you a 2 to 3 year grace period. That alone gives you an opportunity to rebuild the team, right? And I think somebody, I can't remember who it was, within like 5-10 minutes ago, said it, and I'm going to cherry pick what they said, is that the Eagles just looked old. They looked tired. You guys do realize that offensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles is one of the oldest in the NFL. You do realize that the whole team is one of the oldest teams in the NFL. Yes, they do have some young pups in there, They do have Devontae Smith. They do have Jalen Hurts. They do have Mr. I'm going to race my car drunk guy from Georgia. I forget his name, but they are in there. So all right, guys, so I just added my man Hoffy back into the chat here. It should take a second for him to pop in. Hoffy, your internet says it's sucky, but there you are, Hoffy. So, Hoffy, you are the one that brought it up on the final score that you posted last night for the Eagles versus Bucks. I got to ask you the question. Should Nick Sirianni be fired after this epic collapse of 2023?
I think so, yes. I think that we need to give a lot of, I get what you were saying with they went on to the Super Bowl last year. That's going to buy you a couple years. Well, I quite frankly am going to, I put that success on Jonathan Gannon and Shane Steichen. I think that they were the reasons for last year's success. I think that it had nothing to do with Nick Sirianni. I think he's lost that locker room. I do agree that the offensive line is old, but they lost 6 out of their last 7 games, and you saw it yesterday. They wanted nothing to do with tackling. The offensive line wanted nothing to do with blocking. I think they need a change of voice. I think when you change your defensive quarter in the middle of the season after when you've started the season 10-1, that right there just tells you everything I think you need to know. I think a lot of people lost trust in Nick Sirianni when that change was made. So I do think that a change needs to be made. I think that there's plenty of coaches out there that can be had, such as Belichick and Vrabel. I think Pete Carroll. I think there's almost every coach that's been let go this year, I think, is a better coach than Nick Sirianni. I think that if they do keep Nick Sirianni, there needs to be a huge change. And I know that in his press conference last night, he did discuss, looking at that, and changing up the practice plan and kind of figuring some stuff out. But, I think they need to clean house on the offensive and defensive coordinators, as well as look into letting go of Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, so as a former defensive coordinator for our 6A high school team here in town, tackling is all about will and all about motivation, right? Everybody knows how to tackle. Everybody can tackle. It is just, do you have the will? Do you have the motivation to make that, to make those tackles? And Bradbury and Slay and the rest of those guys just seem to make business decisions and not make those tackles, right? They were like, I got big contract coming. I should probably not make this tackle. But obviously, Matt Patricia is a proven bad coach. Let's just call it. Let's call it a spade a spade. He was terrible in Detroit, the worst head coach of all time. Went over to New England. Your New England Patriots was the offensive coordinator last season. I don't know how he got the offensive coordinator job, but whatever it is, it is what it is. One of the worst offensive coordinators ever. And then obviously he was the defensive play caller for the Eagles this season. So let's go ahead and jump into the chat here before we get too carried away. And Carson Lang says he took him to a Super Bowl last year. I get that this is a what have you done for me now league, but he's got a few years left in him. I do agree with that 100%. Wayne G says a huge overreaction. Sirianni has 34 wins in the last 3 seasons. That is what is up with people wanting to fire people who don't win a Super Bowl in their first 3 seasons. Wayne G, that is the Dallas Cowboys mentality. That is the Philadelphia Eagles mentality. That is teams that want to win mentality. Like, hey, We have a great team right now. The Philadelphia Eagles fan base knows that their Super Bowl window really was only 3 years, 4 years tops, right? They have to win it now with the team that can, like the way the team is currently constructed, they have to win it now. The offensive line is one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, but they're old as shit. Yes, I know 34 years old. Oh, whatever, right? But at the end of the day, 34 is old as shit as the NFL, especially the offensive lineman. Hoffy, do you think, like, the Eagles fans can yell loud enough, say, hey, we have a Super Bowl team now. We need a coach now. What are your thoughts on that?
I completely understand where Wayne's coming from with he's got 34 wins in the last 3 seasons, but they went to the Super Bowl last year, and all they did was lose their offensive and defensive coordinator. Yes, I understand that can be a big loss, but they didn't lose any key contributors on either side of the ball, really. I think Hargraves, right? He went to San Francisco.
C.J. Gardner-Johnson, too.
But they brought in, Carter from Georgia. I think they got better. They added some pieces. I believe they added the linebacker from the Colts as well. So when you finish, when you start 10-1 and then you lose 6 out of the last 7, and it seems like you've completely lost the locker room, how do you get that locker room back? And, Philly, the brotherly, city of love and whatnot, the mentality they have is just the, blue collar, work ethic. And yes, I kind of understand Nick Sirianni kind of has that, but can you tell me that Mike Vrabel isn't exactly a blue collar, gritty kind of guy? I think he would be perfect for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, that would be very, very scary if you are a Cowboys fan, 100%. Caroline says it is an overreaction as well. People need to slow it down, baby. My man James Chamberlain's in the chat as well. What's up, James? He says, yes, it is a super duper overreaction. Eagles were just 1 season long Super Bowl hangover. They're tired and just a tick off. So I will give you the tired aspect of it.
Patriots.
What's that?
Chiefs, Patriots. I mean,
yeah,
20 plus years they're, making Super Bowl runs, and the Chiefs the last, since they had Mahomes. I mean, I hate that excuse of, oh, they're tired.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to play that card, the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, the rest of those core guys have played a full extra season in the last 5 versus the rest of the NFL because they're consistently making to the AFC Championship game. They're consistently making it to the Super Bowl. So I get the tired aspect of it. I get, the NFC Super Bowl hangover is a real thing, right? That's actually why I thought the Eagles were not going to do so well this year because of the Super Bowl hangover. But all that entices to what Hoffy said. The practice schedule, the voice in the locker room, the losing of the locker room, just holding men accountable at the end of the day. And then Caroline says, yeah, but how are they going to do without Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox, being that they're retiring this season? I have not heard about Fletcher Cox. I did hear about Jason Kelce. Fletcher Cox would be another huge loss. But maybe, just maybe, Hoffy, hear me out. Addition by subtraction, right? When you subtract older guys, it gives guys like Carter that they drafted this season a chance to spread his wings, a chance to grow, a chance to be his own man, right? When the Kansas City Chiefs moved on from Tyreek Hill, like everybody thought it was the end of the world, they won the Super Bowl the next year. Granted, it has maybe kind of come back to bite him in the butt a little bit now, but it is what it is. James Frank says, I teared up watching Baker. Good for him. Wish him nothing but success. Number 6, baby. Listen, if you guys cannot love some Baker Mayfield, I don't know what is wrong with you. Baker Mayfield, Hoffy, is probably one of the most truest American stories of all time, right? You go to quarterback hell in Cleveland. You lead that team to their first playoff win in 30 some odd years, something crazy. Beat a division rival in the Pittsburgh Steelers in their home stadium. Then you get shipped out of town for Deshaun Watson. Jump from the Carolina Panthers because they were afraid that you were doing too well. Moved to LA, and who's the Rams head coach?
Sean McVay.
Sean McVay says, "Hey, just be you, Baker. Come in and win us a game." And that's what he did, and now he's flourishing. Hoffy, you know how I feel about Baker, but how do you feel about Baker? Do you love you some Baker?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I don't know that I'd love him on my team because you never know what you're going to get out of him. But yeah, I do enjoy watching him. But we'll see what Baker shows up next week against the Detroit Lions. Last time they played, I don't think he was so hot. But yeah, if he can ride the momentum into next week that he came with yesterday. I mean, he played with some with fire, passion yesterday. I mean, and you look. I think they even said it a couple of times. You look at his stats and you're not blown away by the completions to attempts. However, more than half of those incompletion. I mean, I thought he was throwing to the Kansas City Chiefs wide receivers last night.
Yeah, Mike Evans had at least 2 touchdowns dropped last night. One of them was in the breadbasket perfectly, and the other one just went
tight end Ottoman.
Yeah, that is tough to see. Carson says, "I didn't see the Eagles winning, but I also thought they were going to show up." Listen. I think the Eagles were a little shell shocked in that first quarter. Second quarter, they come out and they started to click, and they go down, they score that touchdown, and then they go for the 2-point conversion, and they get stopped and on that tush push, brotherly shove, whatever you want to call it. That was the beginning of the end for the Philadelphia Eagles, Hoffy, because you literally saw the deflatement of the team ever. Man. We are old. We are tired. We can't even push these Tampa Bay Buccaneers 1 yard, and that's basically what gave the Philadelphia Eagles probably 5 of their 10 wins is that brotherly shove. Do you think that was the point of the game where the Eagles are kind of man, just not in it today?
Yeah, and the other thing too is, you kick the field goal, you got the point. I know we always say take the points, but maybe now you get it from the one yard line and such. But what's the difference of being up by 6 or being down by 6 or being down by 5? Now you've missed out on that point, and now you're down by 7. I don't think that there was really any momentum to be gained by getting 1 extra point there. I would have just taken the points, put that penalty to the kickoff return, and punted kicked the thing right out of the end zone. But I'm not a head coach, so that's not my call. But
I mean, I see what you're saying, but one of the biggest staples in the Eagles' game plan is that tush push, and they needed to say, "Hey,
it's more
we
than
are
a
here,
yard.
baby." What?
It's more than 1 yard. It was a yard and 3/4. They've taken away the fact that Jason Kelce is, they've been watching him now, so he can no longer get you an extra, half a yard there, if not more. So I just, you weren't playing all that great there. I think you were finally getting some momentum. So just kind of take what you've gotten at that point and, have your defense come out, get you a stop. Now you can go down there, get a touch. It didn't happen, but give yourself the opportunity to get a touchdown before the second half ends.
Right.
Now you're going into the second half with a 1-point lead, and then you're coming out and you're getting the ball to start the third quarter. So, it just killed any momentum that could have really, gotten that train rolling.
Yeah, I mean, it's a double-edged sword, right? It's damned if you do, damned if you don't, at this point. Ant, what is up, Ant? Good morning to you, good sir. Hope you're staying warm up there in Baltimore, Maryland, this beautiful, fine day. But he says it is an overreaction. They were literally in the Super Bowl last year, and they won 10 of their first 11 games this season. Their secondary has been the problem the last 7 games. Now, Ant, I see what you're saying, but in my first opening monologue, I said that, yes, they were 10-1, but it was also a lot of smoke and mirrors. Hoffy, you were on this train all season long. You said that the Eagles are just not that good. They have an easy-ass schedule. And it turns out to be you were exactly right. So even though they were 10-1, there were a lot of games. If Hoffy said, in that Patriots game, if the field was 1 inch wider, they would have lost that game. It was a lot of smoke and mirrors. So, Hoffy, you as basically nailing the Eagles all season long about how they're a facade, smoke and mirrors, do you think just the last 7 games was a problem, or was the whole season going 10-1 and just sneaking by the Patriots, just sneaking by the, I don't know whoever they play, like the
I mean,
Commanders.
they snuck by the Giants in one of their 2 games. They lost to the Giants in the other. They beat the Washington Commanders twice, but both of those games were competitive, and they nearly lost. They barely beat the Patriots. I mean, a lot of they should have lost to the Dallas Cowboys. They beat them by a half a yard. If that if the end if the field of play is you use the width being a yard wider, if the field is a yard shorter, I mean, they had a lot of beneficial plays, and I mean, you take away the tush push, which could very well be taken away next year. They're probably they're not converting as many first downs as they've converted this year. So, they could have if that tush push isn't allowed, that that 10-1 start could very well easily be 6-4, and then they lost 6 out of their last 7, so they end up 7-10. So their defensive secondary was suspect, and I mean, Slay is heck, I'd like to have Slay on my team. So the fact that you had Bradbury, Slay, it's not like these are some bums that they're picking off the couch because they're up against the salary cap and they need to just kind of fill some spots. These are all guys that were there last year performing, and they did not perform this year. So something needs to be done. You can't get rid of all 53 guys on the roster. So if changes need to be made, those changes usually come from the top.
Yep. Cuts happen from the top and shit rolls downhill, as my boss always says to me. James Hoffy, you have started this rumor, and Eagles fans are already grasping onto it. Mike Vrabel would be nice in Philly. I feel like we should start a poll. Mike Vrabel to Philly, yay or nay, guys. Give us a hashtag yes or hashtag no. Mike Vrabel will be a great fit in Philly. I mean, obviously, Nick Sirianni still has a job, but this is not a good time in the NFL to be a mediocre coach, because there's a lot of big names out there. Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, Mike Vrabel, obviously, right? There's a lot of big names out there. Jay, my man Jay Jillian, still living high with the Detroit Lions win. He says Nick Sirianni's judgment should be questioned regardless for letting the fatty Patricia be defensive coordinator. He is a failure. And Hoffy, Jay Jillian knows all about Matt Patricia for being their head coach and just literally taking the Detroit Lions franchise, digging a hole 7 feet down, stepping on them, putting them 12 feet under, like even more. It was just, Matt Patricia was a terrible head coach for the Detroit Lions. And just because you're a bad head coach doesn't mean you can't go back to your roots and be a defensive coordinator, because wasn't he a defensive coordinator for the Patriots for a long, long time, and that's how he got his head coaching job?
Yeah, he was, but at the same, and yes, the Patriots, finished in the top 10 in defense, like 12 out of 20, the last 20 years or something like that. But I mean, we've clearly seen it that a lot of that defensive success falls on Bill Belichick. So yes, he got his job off of the body of work that he did as a defensive coordinator for the Patriots. But realistically, I think we're kind of seeing where the success truly lies, because I don't think we've had a true defensive coordinator since he left. Bill Belichick has had, Gerard Mayo and his son, Steve, kind of calling the plays. But I think we've, it's kind of obvious that Bill Belichick has been the key to the success of that Patriots defense.
And I remember watching, I don't know if it was some type of documentary or something, but it was Bill Belichick as a defensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns, I think it was. And just the way he prepared, it was just a mastermind. So he was definitely carrying that team, obviously. But Jim Powell brings up a great point here. And Jason Kelce has retired. He is done. He was the linchpin to this team. He is the team that kept the team, or he was the player, the glue, the foundation of this team. Hoffy, if we see the Philadelphia Eagles have an epic collapse next season, I'm talking like 3 to 4 wins tops, what can the Eagles do besides literally blow it up, like at that particular point? Because they're not going to find another Jason Kelce. They're not going to find another Fletcher Cox. Like, what do they do if they're just that done. Is firing Nick Sirianni and building from the outside in the only way?
I might be going out on a limb here, but if they do not fire Sirianni this year, I don't think he makes it through next year.
Like the whole year? Like they start off like
I don't
3-3, like he's out.
Yeah, he is out in the middle of the season at some point. We're going to have it's going to be just like the Las Vegas Raiders of this year. Week 6, 7, 8, something like that. See you later.
I mean, obviously,
serious changes need to be made. The offensive and defensive coordinators cannot come back.
Patricia cannot come back for sure. Yes, that defense looked very
even the one that that Patricia replaced. I think Johnson's the offensive coordinator. I don't recall the name of the defensive coordinator, but yeah, when the end of the season meeting happens with the GM, the owner, and Sirianni, how are you going to fix this? The first things out of his mouth better be new coordinators, and then figure out that practice split or whatnot, because clearly, I know that a lot of teams don't do live tackling anymore, but that's just, that was the start of the downfall last night, I feel.
Yeah, so even at the high school level, we don't do live tackling because they're afraid of injuries, but whatever, we digress for on that. Carson says, but 20-plus years of the Patriots damn near had 6 gimme wins in their division every year. It doesn't matter, says Carson, that the Patriots were going to the Super Bowls and their season were longer. They had 6 easy wins every year. True. Very, very true.
The Eagles and Dallas both have had 6 freaking more than 6 gimmies these last 2 seasons. They played the Commanders twice. They played the Giants twice this year, which they didn't get that. They didn't beat them, so that's each of them got to play the freaking Patriots, who absolutely suck donkey dick. So there was
I see your
play the
rage coming
teams.
Out. Get mad, baby. Get it.
I'm trying not to. I'm a new dad, or third child. I'm trying to turn a new leaf here.
Man, fuck them kids. I sent you that video of that tape of Trip, right? Potty training.
Which one?
Ooh, I missed. Motherfucker shit right next to the toilet. Right on the floor. I was like, you fucking kidding me? Whatever.
My kids are going through my phone. They're like, why do you have poop in your text messages, Dad?
Don't swipe left, kids.
How do you miss the toilet?
James says Baker has been nothing but an absolute professional. Love to see that guy win. Me too. Got a lot of you guys are killing the comments today. I absolutely love it. James says the Bucks defense showed the league how to stop the tush push last night. The defensive lineman diving under Kelsey, taking away his ability to lift and push, was the answer. The tush push is dead. And Caroline wants to follow up with that. Said, God, I was happy they destroyed the tush push last night. Listen, you can try to stop the tush push all you want, but when Jason Kelsey is at his absolute 100%, nobody can stop him. You can have a hand on his ankle at the start of the snap, and somehow, some way, he's still going to get under you and drive you back 3 yards. That is just a way, and that is just a start. Then you have good old Jalen Hurts that can squat 800 pounds, and it was a very, very unstoppable play. It is what it is. Ant says, that's true, but a win is a win if you can't control the schedule. Nailed it. Ant, comment of the day right there. The teams don't make their schedule. The NFL makes their schedule. Their schedule's already out for next season. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are coming to Arrowhead Stadium next season. They're going to get that ass waxed. Sorry, Baker. Sorry, guys.
To piggyback off of Carson Lane with the Patriots and 6 easy wins, how about the Aaron Rodgers' career as a Green Bay Packer? The Detroit Lions, the Minnesota Vikings, and the Chicago Bears. There's 6 wins every year, but he didn't make it to the playoffs, or he couldn't make it to more than just that one Super Bowl. So,
true, because they always were running into the Dallas Cowboys.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
If we talked yesterday about the playoffs, and do I like the lowest seed plays the top seed? And I said yes. The only other argument you can make is the top seed gets to pick who they choose. If you are the San Francisco 49ers,
I'm picking the Bucs. I'm picking the Bucks 100%. I do not want to play the Packers right now.
I agree.
Basically because correct me if I'm wrong, but Aaron Jones missed damn near half of the season, right? This guy is the freshest guy on the field, and even at like 80%, he is still a top running back in the league, but now has 7 less games than Christian McCaffrey, has 7 less games than Tony Pollard, and he's still running untouched versus the Dallas Cowboys. I mean,
yeah. Finished the last 3 weeks of the season with 100+ yards. Did the same thing, this playoff game. So, Jordan Love is coming into his zone. I know Buck is. Combs all year said he's a bust, but I think he's just living in his glory takes of Justin Fields and his MVP, choice. But
we will be talking about Jordan Love's contract
I agree with you
coming up here.
I'd rather play the Bucks right now.
Yeah, basically because the Bucks are like kind of riding high, right? Deflate that ego real quick. You're gonna win that game. And says Vrabel to Pittsburgh if Mike Tomlin doesn't get another job. Probably. And John says, did you guys see that Tomlin interview? Hoffy did. He told me about it, and it was kind of a dumb question. Like, why are you asking about a guy about his future right after a loss? Like, shut up with that. Like, come on, the guy just lost. But Wayne G says, Bill for head coach for the Browns. Nick Saban was the defensive coordinator. My fault. John says AP for life. We'll be talking about Antonio Pierce and Maxx Crosby coming up as well. John says some silly reporter asked a dumb question. Poor timing. Ask about the game and today's media sucks. Yes, especially since Mike Tomlin had an interview with somebody saying that after every year he sits down with his family and he reflects. Has he had time to sit down with his family to reflect on the on his career, Hoffy, directly after the game? No, he did not.
No.
Carson says, Aaron was great until the divisional championship. No, Aaron Rodgers was great until the NFC championship game. Didn't the Packers lose like 3 or 4 straight NFC championship games in a row? But
something like that. But they, it seemed like they lost every year to the San Francisco 49ers, whether they were home or away in that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the 49ers definitely owned the Packers during Aaron Rodgers' latter years in Green Bay. And that brings us to that next Overreaction Tuesday here on Overreaction Tuesday at manhourradio.com. Guys, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and obviously share this with a couple friends because sharing is caring at the end of the day. But the San Francisco 49ers are on pace to play the Green Bay Packers this weekend in the divisional championship game. With that being said, the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers has had some postseason woes, right? He is 6-3 as a postseason coach, but he has yet to win the big game. He is 0-1 in the Super Bowl, and he is 1-2 in the NFC Championship games. So Hoffy, let me ask you this question first. I'm going to kick it to you first. Should Kyle Shanahan be fired if he does not make the Super Bowl?
Nope.
Why?
Nope. Why would he be fired for not making, they were right there last year. They were in the Super Bowl, the year previous. I do realize he's had some blunders, the biggest one being as an offensive coordinator for the Falcons when they were up 28-3. But I just think that with the skill set that the 49ers have on offense, he just fits that team perfectly as far as a play caller, the coach of that team. I don't know that you can get the same production out of that offense if you bring in somebody else. I mean, I don't know of any coach that's out there right now that can probably get the same product on the field that you're going to get from Mike Shanahan with his play calling, unless it was someone like Mike Daniels. But no, I don't think that regardless of what happens this week, next week, the rest of the season, Shanahan will be back.
Yeah. The reason why I brought that up is because many people were calling for Nick Sirianni's job after just leading to the Super Bowl and having an epic collapse. So the 49ers haven't been to the Super Bowl since their epic collapse versus the Kansas City Chiefs. What, they're up 28-10 or something like that, 28-3, and they end up losing that game because Kyle Shanahan literally shit the bed with his play calling. So therefore, he's kind of had that stigma of like, hey, I have a great regular season. I can get you to the championship, but I cannot win that big game. And so when I got to thinking about this, we have Super Bowl windows, right? We always talk about Super Bowl win windows. Hey, the team is built to win Super Bowl in the next 6 years and this year. Well, the NFL is win it for me now league. There is very little time to rebuild, reamp, bring in your system into a said organization. So the San Francisco 49ers have a great opportunity to win a Super Bowl this season. Their path for the Super Bowl has gotten, let's just be damn near honest about it, it's gotten pretty easy. The Dallas Cowboys are out, right? The Dallas Cowboys were probably the only team up there that can match them head to head. They're probably going to blow out the Packers. They're probably going to blow out the Lions or the Bucks, whoever they play. If they don't make a Super Bowl after the top teams of the NFC go down in the first round, something is wrong, and there might be time for a culture change, right? Because if you look at it, before CMC got there, Deebo Samuel was a guy, right? Deebo Samuel was the ringleader, everything for the San Francisco 49ers, and he kind of wanted out, right? Now they're winning and everything's hunky-dory, right? But at the end of the day, if they happen to lose to the Packers, if they happen to lose to the Bucks or the Lions, it might be time for a culture change. It might be time to shake the cage a little bit. Yes, I know. John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan go back, right? Their dads played with each other. Like, I understand all that. But business is business, Hoffy. You have to win, right? I think if the 49ers get knocked out this weekend versus the Packers, we're going to have this conversation on next Tuesday. Should they fire Kyle Shanahan? And it's definitely a conversation to have.
Yeah, you can have whatever conversation you want, but it ain't going to happen. I mean, he hasn't lost 6 out of 7 games. I mean, he's been consistent, provided, yes, they've had some blunders in the playoffs, but last year they lost in the NFC Championship game with CMC as their quarterback. I think that Shanahan's window will go as long as as long as Brock Purdy is under his rookie contract. So this is year 2. I think he's got, year 3 and 4. If they don't win a Super Bowl after that, provided whatever the record, unless he's going 13-4 every year and making the NFC Championship game and such. But if they're, 10-7 and losing in the wild card or, losing in, week 2 of the playoffs and, just kind of, they're not dominating like they've dominated these past 2 years in the regular season, then yes, I think you could look to move on. But I think as long as you have Brock Purdy under center and, Deebo Samuel and CMC, I think you got to ride it out with Shanahan. Yeah.
And let me give you a hot take here, Hoffy. Let's look 3 years down the line, right? Obviously, Brock Purdy has done very, very well in San Francisco. You cannot take that away from him. His rookie year, he led them to a NFC Championship game, if you want to call it that. This year, they're 13-4 or whatever. I don't remember their record. Obviously, he's doing very, very well. But you said it, I've said it, many outsiders have said it as well, that the San Francisco 49ers are a system quarterback team. You can plug and play any quarterback in there, and the system will be very, very, very well. So in 3 years from now, Brock Purdy will be out as San Francisco 49ers quarterback. They don't want to pay him. They want to pay Deebo. Okay. They want to pay Joey Bobosa, or not Joey, but Nick. And they are going to build on the outside because they know they are basically a rookie quarterback that can lead them anywhere. And Arch Manning is going to come into the San Francisco 49ers.
He's not, no.
And lead them to a Super Bowl.
Archie Manning is going to be like a top 5 pick, if not number 1 pick.
No, he's not.
I could even.
He's a backup on Texas.
I'll even allow you to say, Bijan Robinson or whatever from the Falcons doesn't get paid, and he, that's the CMC. They end up paying him like they paid CMC, and yes, they'll bring in a new quarterback, and but that system quarterback per se is Mike Shanahan's system.
Right.
If you get rid of Shanahan and you bring in
Kyle Shanahan,
Kyle Shanahan. Sorry, if you bring in if you get rid of Kyle Shanahan and you bring in someone, Mike Vrabel or Bill Belichick or Mike Tomlin leaves leaves Pittsburgh, takes a year off and comes to San Francisco. That's not going to be a system quarterback anymore.
Right.
So
you are right.
But
then at that point, you're bringing in Tristan Polk. Remember that name.
Let me guess. He goes to the Kansas State University.
No, I coached Tristan all through high school. He is now at Marion University here in Indianapolis, Indiana. He will be a redshirt sophomore this season. This kid's about 6'6" and throws the ball. I think they clocked him at like 70 or 80 miles an hour on football. Very, very big, strong kid. Keep an eye. Like if he gets a chance in the NFL, that man's going to do some work. He will be your next Brock Purdy right there. We actually interviewed him a couple years ago. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump over into the comments here. Wayne G says, no! He was a Purdy UCLA injury from a Super Bowl last year. He was, but they were not beating the Kansas City Chiefs last season. No way, no how. John wants to jump in the chat and put some words in my mouth, and he says, Buck, are you trying to tell me that Packers are beating the San Francisco 49ers? I'm saying right now, watching the Packers play versus the Dallas Cowboys in the last 6-7 games of the NFL season, they're a very, very hot team. They're a very clicky team. This is a team that you don't want to play, right? The Packers are a very good team right now. They're clicking. They're playing well.
I would say that the 49ers playoff run or potential Super Bowl appearance has gotten tougher with what's gone on this weekend than if they got to face, let's say the Eagles beat the Bucks. They've already absolutely taken them to the woodshed.
Right.
They're not going to, we've seen it the last 6 out of the 7 weeks. They're not coming into San Francisco expecting to win that. So that's a definite win. And or if they, the Cowboys win and then the 49ers are playing the Bucks, we've already discussed it. We would rather, you as not a San Francisco fan and me as a San Francisco fan would rather play the Bucks. And then if the Detroit Lions are going to Dallas and Dallas wins, you could argue that Dallas is, a better team than Detroit. And that could be, I would rather play Dallas than, I would rather, as a 49ers fan, be playing the Eagles or the Bucks this week and then move on and play the Cowboys, teams that you've already beaten. Now you're going to have to beat you don't know what you're going to get in the Green Bay Packers with a hot quarterback in Jordan Love.
Right.
And I don't see that the Lions can lose to the Bucks. They've already beat them, 34-20. I see that happen again. So now you got the Lions coming into town. You haven't played them yet. They beat the LA Rams, a team that, yes, they're a divisional foe for the 49ers, but, you haven't really handedly beaten them per se. So I think that it would be a tougher schedule now for the 49ers than if they were playing teams like the Eagles or Bucks and the Dallas Cowboys.
So, Hafi, let me tell you something. From my coaching experiences, right? So every year I play teams that are in like my playoffs, right? So here in Indiana, you play your 7 regular season games, and then everybody makes the postseason, right? We have it's called a sectional, right? So we have 4 or 5 teams making into a sectional, and then they travel on. Well, in our particular sectional, it is all of the teams that we played previous this season, right? So they are teams that are in our conference. So when I play a team like Jeffersonville for like a Indiana, let me flash back to COVID year. We had some Kentucky teams cancel on us because they couldn't travel for BS, but long story short, we had to play the same team 3 times in like a 6-7 week span. Jeffersonville Red Devils. We beat them the first time 60-0. We beat them week 7 80-6. It was just we were absolutely slaughtering these guys up and down the field. And then we draw them in the first game of the sectional. We're like, oh, this is a fucking cakewalk. We destroy these guys. Our offensive coordinator, our head coach, and our defensive play caller at the time, didn't even make game plans for this week because we thought we were just going to take what we did in week 5, week 7, and translate that into the playoffs. They beat us. After literally beating them 140-6, 2 games previous this season, they beat us 28-0 on our home field. So with that being said, when you do play teams again, like when the 49ers do play the Cowboys again, or like this is obviously hypothetically, right? If they were to play the Eagles again, play the Cowboys again, they're going to be like, oh, we dismantled these guys earlier this season. Why do I need a scout? Why do I need to do this? This game plan worked. Let's stick to this game plan. We're going to stick to it. The Cowboys and Eagles are like, oh, our game plan didn't work last time. Let's change it. Let's change this up. Let's put out a new game plan. So that is why I thought that the Cowboys could beat the 49ers. That's why I thought the Eagles and the Rams were dangerous for the 49ers, was because they did play them earlier in the season. So when you say it's gotten harder, I'm on the opposite side of that because they haven't played the Bucs yet this season. They haven't played the Lions. Have they played the Packers? I don't think they played the Packers yet this either. So this is all brand new game plans that they got to figure out and dissect and etc. So it is just a little bit easier, I think. Jump back into the comments here. Ant says no, he's been too consistent of a coach. He has been consistent. He is 64-59 as a regular season, 63 in the postseason. Pretty damn good. Carson says problem with firing somebody or someone that has taken you to the playoffs is who knows what you're going to get with a new coach. Exactly. So why fire Nick Sirianni? Why fire Mike McCarty? Why fire Bill Belichick? Sometimes new changes happen, right, Hoffy?
Yeah. And I mean, I think this year when have we had coaches like Belichick out there to be had, or Pete Carroll? And I know Vrabel had 4 winning seasons out of 6 years, and I don't think he really had a great quarterback. And they made the AFC Championship game a couple years ago, and lost to your Kansas City Chiefs. So I think he's a proven coach, and we could potentially even see someone like Mike Tomlin say, "Hey, I've had enough of this shit. I want to change the scenery." So if you got Tomlin, Belichick, Mike Vrabel, Pete Carroll, even if you don't have Tomlin, there's still 3 guys that I think would be better coaches for, teams like the Eagles, teams like the Cowboys, So yeah, I think that you have some really hot commodities as far as coaching that are available to be had right now.
Yeah, and to be honest, to being a mediocre coach right now is not good for you because the Tennessee Titans obviously fired Mike Vrabel, which we're talking about very highly of him, but they fired him for having 2 bad seasons, right? I mean, last year they were battling for the playoffs, and this year they just were not very, very, very good. They fired him to, just shake things up. Arthur
GM is the one that should go.
I think the GM did go, didn't she? I can't remember.
Well,
but it is not a good year to be a mediocre coach. So. Chicago Bears fans, hang on to Matt Eberflus because go.
They suck.
Jay says keep sleeping on the Lions. I don't think anybody's sleeping on the Lions now, Hoffy. I'm certainly not.
I just said that they're a tougher out than the Cowboys.
And if we flash back to August, I thought the Detroit Lions were not going to win their division. I thought the Vikings were going to win the division, but I thought the Lions were going to make some noise in the playoffs, make it into an NFC Championship game. So I think the Lions are not being slept on anyway whatsoever. Ant says the 49ers have too many playmakers on their team to lose to the Packers. I don't see them losing. I thought the Cowboys had too many playmakers on their team. I didn't see them losing to the Packers either, but team is better than an individual at the end of the game. Right, Hoffy?
Correct.
Joel.
That's why we played the game.
That's why we play the game. You play to win the game. Joel is in the chat. A new name here, Hoffy. So what is up, Joel? Glad to see you here on the live feed, man. He says, focus on the Cowboys revamp. They are the biggest frauds in sports. Are they, though? I mean, they're consistently 12-5. They ended Tom Brady's career.
We're not going to talk about that. We're not talking about the past. We're talking about the present.
And the present is Mike McCarty is still the coach of the Dallas Cowboys moving forward.
All right, we can talk about the future because that ain't going to continue.
And John, speaking some facts here. If you unplug CMC, the 49ers are average. Don't let 49ers fans hear that, John. Because when I said that, they were calling me a clown. The clown meter, Hoffy, was up to like 27. It was crazy in that one comment. Oh, you clown! You're like you are forgetting about Mitchell. We still have Purdy. Yada yada yada. I'm like, I'm just
yada yada.
I'm just saying, like, I thought CMC was a good guy. Like, you guys were coming at me, right? Carson Lang says no. That's Avery Johnson at the Kansas State University. Avery Johnson's going to be a dog. Watch out for him, too. You guys are killing it in the comments. Absolutely love it today.
John Schweitzer with the Lions versus Bills Super Bowl.
Yeah, so John says Lions versus Bills Super Bowl would be fun. Neither of those franchises have won a Lombardi. A trip to the Super Bowl would help get them out of the conversation of moving or becoming a team in Mexico or Germany. It will save them like a trip to the Stanley Cup saved the Predators in 2017.
There is no way Bills Mafia will be leaving Orchard Park. They're already building a new stadium, first off, but there is no way that fan base will burn down the entire state of New York before they're allowed to move out of, Orchard Park.
Yeah.
Or, move
and
out of.
I don't think the Lions would ever leave Detroit anyways, because like the Ford, there are three things that are sacred in Detroit: Ford Motor Company, the Detroit Lions, and the Detroit Red Wings. Like, you talk bad about that, you're getting in a fight. But if you want to go to a team that's going to Mexico or London, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're consistently playing over there. The Raiders probably moved to Mexico in a heartbeat. Man, wouldn't that be something?
Tell me, like 90% of the Raiders fans aren't
Mexicans,
Latino. I wasn't gonna try not to be blunt and racist there.
Every Mexican I know, or every person that looks like a Mexican that I know, like I don't want to be that, they're all wearing Raiders hat, Raiders or Chargers. So like very few of them are wearing like 49ers or Cowboys. Well, no. I do see a lot of Latinos, I guess, wear Cowboy stuff too, but that's just because a lot of them are crossing the border there. They get stuff for free. But moving on, going down that wrong hole there, Hoffy. We talk about Nick Sirianni getting fired, Kyle Shanahan possibly getting fired, but let's talk about the Raiders. Let's talk about Maxx Crosby. Maxx Crosby has said he will request for a trade if Antonio Pierce is not the coach. Maxx Crosby is arguably one of the most recognizable people on the Las Vegas Raiders right now. He is their bread and butter on the defensive side of the ball. So, Hoffy, would it be an overreaction for Maxx Crosby to request a trade if Antonio Pierce is not the coach for Vegas moving forward?
No, I think it would be a very Las Vegas Raider thing to do. I understand that, he's a player's coach, much like Mike Tomlin, but and they did rattle off some wins towards the end of the season, but do we really think that, I think that Al Davis is going to look at somebody like, Jim Harbaugh, or, I guess if you hire Jim, if you have the opportunity to hire Jim Harbaugh, I don't doubt that they wouldn't look at that before they look at Antonio Pierce. He's done some good things for them this year. I just don't, so did Nick Sirianni. I mean, not Nick Sirianni, excuse me. Who's the special teams coordinator for the Green Bay Packers right now? Basecki?
I have no idea.
Basacci, right? Wasn't it like Basacci or whatever, and everybody wanted him back?
Yeah.
So I get where the fans are coming from, but as an outsider, I think that they could do better than Pierce. I mean, wasn't it like his second game of the year with not knowing the rules and getting that flag and whatnot? I don't know that he's still wet behind the ears. I don't know that if I would want him to be the head coach of my team. But hey, if that's what the Raiders fans want and that's what the Raiders players want, give it to him. But don't start bitching week 4 when you start out 0-4.
When you guys, as fans, as players in general, there's a reason why you are a player and not an owner of a team or a GM or even a coach. It's because sometimes you see things a little bit differently, right? You don't see the business side of things and think long term. Owners, GMs are always thinking 5-6 years down the road. They have the team built now for 5-6 years down the road. Players are obviously in a win now mode situation. Now, I understand Antonio Pierce did come in and knock off the rival Kansas City Chiefs Christmas Day. Kansas City Chiefs were not a very good football team right then and there. They were a sinking ship, but Kansas City Chiefs lately have found the leak and they plugged it and they caught the damn football. But to say you want to request a trade because you are not going to get your coach, the guy that you smoke stogies with, that's kind of like a 5-year-old throwing a tantrum just a tad bit. It is definitely an overreaction because Maxx Crosby, where are you going to go and get that type of treatment that you get in Vegas? Because in Vegas, you are a Greek god. For the Las Vegas Raiders fan base, you are a Greek god. You get all of these interview specials. You get this, you get that. It's because you're a part of the Raiders. If Maxx Crosby gets traded anywhere, it's going to go to a very, very bad team. Because let's just be honest, the Raiders are not, because most of the good teams right now, Hoffy, have their good defensive ends. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs, they have a really good front defensive line. The Eagles, really good front defensive line, right? You can look at the Miami Dolphins. They had 7 linebackers go down, and they still had a really good front pass rush there, right?
Send him to the Commanders.
Yeah, that is where he's going to end up. Is he's going to end up in the Jets or the Giants or the Commanders or Chicago, right?
Even the Giants have Thibodeau. They don't want him.
Yeah, right. I mean, he could be a good 1-2 punch, and that would be the trade of a century. Probably, I'd even think about that. But if you demand a trade, they're going to send you to the hellhole, right? Where you're going to just rot your career ever and never win a Super Bowl, or they're going to say no, and now you're going to look like an ass that you have no leverage for your team whatsoever. Like, hey, I demanded a trade, and they said no. That means they want me. No, that means you're going to stay here and you're going to rot too. Like, just shut your mouth. And Las Vegas Raiders fans, let me ask you this question. If you had a choice between 3 coaches, Hoffy, put on your Raiders fan gear there, do you want Antonio Pierce, Jim Harbaugh, or Bill Belichick? I don't want me no Antonio Pierce. It's going to be Jim or Bill, right? 100%.
Yeah, I think that freaking you're in the city of lights. You know, you're putting on a show. I think Jim Harbaugh would be a perfect fit for the city of Las Vegas and just what you're trying to, what that city is all about. So yeah, I think that if they have their choice, it would be Harbaugh. I know he's interviewed for the Los Angeles Chargers position, but I think he even said in his little post conference or whatnot when he won the college championship that the only color that would, besides the blue and yellow that would look good on him would be the black and gray or whatever he had said.
That was fake. That was fake. That was Jim posting troll stuff. That was fake. He didn't say that.
All right. Well,
he may have said it like under his breath, but didn't say it.
I hope, what? I hope they do hire Antonio Pierce, and I hope that Harbaugh goes to the Chargers and the Chargers just beat the shit out of them year after year after year, so we can continue year after year on this Man Hour podcast and just, troll John Peebles and, Jim Powell on how, this is what you wanted. We got what you wanted.
What would be the most Raider thing ever is to hire another former Patriots offensive coordinator or assistant coach. So the new head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders is Matt Patricia after getting fired from defensive coordinator.
No. They hire Bill Belichick, and then they bring in Patricia as the defensive coordinator and Josh McDaniels as the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, that'd be it.
Let's duplicate the 2018 New England Patriots here.
Wow, Boston came out in you there. Jim Powell says AP is interviewing with other teams. Why should Crosby give a F? Don't ask me. Maybe by Maxx Crosby saying, hey, I want to be traded, means AP come back. Why are you interviewing with the Titans? Why are you interviewing with whoever's out there? I mean, I don't understand.
Because he knows the writing's on the wall.
I mean, so let me ask you this. Like, I don't know the whole Rooney Rule aspect. Like I do know you have to interview a person of color, before you do this, and this. But if you say Antonio Pierce is our guy, like without interviewing any white people, does that fall underneath the Rooney Rule? Like, or is it strictly people of like non-white?
No, the Patriots hired Gerard Mayo. They didn't interview no white people.
Did they really?
Want us,
that's kind of like a promotion,
coach.
though, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. You still gotta take into effect the Rooney Rule, which they did because they hired one.
Yeah, I think the Rooney Rule is completely stupid, but it is what it is. Caroline says, I don't blame him if he does. That's not an overreaction. And then Jay Jillian says Crosby will be a Detroit Lion. That's where he wants to be. Detroit is a hot destination to come for free agency. Crosby and Hutch would be a disgusting make the trade. Obviously, you would probably have to trade a top pick. You would have to trade, somebody, probably a first rounder or maybe 2 first rounders for Maxx Crosby. I don't know what the asking price for a Maxx Crosby would be, but I feel like it would be at least a first round and a second round. He is one of the, Hoffy, do I dare say it, like one of the top 5 defensive ends in the NFL right now. But yeah, I mean, it would definitely be a match made in heaven, but I wouldn't see it happening, to be honest with you. Would the Lions want to deal with that kind of mess? I don't know.
I think if they wanted to trade for Maxx Crosby, I think it would probably start with Hutchinson. I think that they would probably have to trade Hutchinson for Maxx Crosby. I don't think the Raiders would give up, Maxx Crosby unless you're going because I don't think that the Detroit Lions are going to have, when the Detroit Lions got number 1 picks from the Rams and whatnot, they weren't. If you're getting number 1 picks from the Detroit Lions right now for Maxx Crosby, they're going to end up being 20, 25. They're not going to be good picks. They're not going to be top 20 picks. So
right.
I think that they're going to want some sort of player in return. So that's probably going to be someone like, a Hutch.
Carson Lang may have just won the internet today. He says Mark Davis is actually, because Al Davis is dead, I think it's Mark Davis is the owner now of the Raiders, should hire me. I could be as bad as McDaniels and work and won't ask as much, and there won't be any racist emails like Gruden, and I'll be cheaper. I don't know. We'll see. Caroline says, I wouldn't mind Crosby going to Detroit. That would be awesome. It would be awesome. Get Maxx Crosby out of the AFC West. That would be fine. Sit him somewhere. Ant says the only thing good about playing for the Raiders is the city. Even then, Vegas is just. Have you been to Vegas, like outside of the Strip? Vegas is not a very nice city. I'm not trying to dog Vegas, but it's not a very nice city.
Vegas is fun for like 4 nights, and then you want the hell out of there.
Yeah, because it's so hot. I mean, there's nothing to do. In Detroit, baby, says Jay. Got a lot of you guys have been killing it in the comments. I'm trying to pull out some of the best ones here. Nice little conversation. Like 13 Bill Mafia diehards showed up to clear the stands for the snow. They even paid or offered free tickets. So I questioned them showing up with torches and pitchforks if their team get picked to move international. If Josh Allen ever wins a Lombardi, then it won't be for Buffalo. So I'm trying to understand John's statement here, Hoffy. So he's saying that since the fans helped clear the snow in the stadium, got the field ready to like play, they would not be mad if they moved internationally? Like, I don't.
He's saying that only, the Buffalo Bills were paying people $20 an hour and supposedly free tickets to the game, which I doubt they're giving free tickets, but only 20 people showed up. The 20 people that supposedly showed up, are the 20 people that we saw sliding down the damn slides. I'm sure there was more than 20 people that showed up. But yes, there was 20 people that showed up and decided they didn't want to shovel. They just wanted to play in the damn snow buck naked and slide down the damn, black tube thing. But I'm sure there was more than 20 people there. They were probably all just out in the parking lot, during that time where you saw just those 20 people, probably getting liquored up, probably jumping through some tables, getting pumped up to grab their shovels and pitchforks and cardboard boxes and go clear out that stadium. But I mean, that stadium was full, and that stadium was rocking. I mean, I think Bills Mafia is probably one of the best fan bases in NFL, and I mean,
definitely top 5.
That's coming from a true Patriots fan. So.
Yeah. I would say Raiders are probably up there back when they played in Los Angeles and or Oakland. Vegas is obviously a destination spot. Chiefs are up there. Packers are always sold out. And Detroit Lions fans are always sold out as like
the Bills, though, there's something special.
Yeah.
They're
what
much
is there
like
to do
the Cubs,
in,
the most lovable losers.
Like, what is there to do in that Western New York area besides go to a Buffalo Bills game? Like,
go to a Buffalo Sabres game. When's the last time they were relevant? I'm pretty sure Dominic Hasek's, looking to buy his own freaking tombstone at this point.
Daniel's in the chat, and I agree with this 100%. Daniel, and he's saying that the Eagles shouldn't have signed Hurts. 1 good year and 3 bad on a loaded team. When I saw that the Eagles signed Jalen Hurts to his at the time he was the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, right? Hafi. I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. Yeah. Yes, he had a great season, but you just added AJ Brown. You added, a lot of pieces to that team in his third year there, and it is what it is. Bills fans are dedicated when it comes to snowstorms and help the team. I'll give them that. I mean, because there's nothing else to do in Western New York besides help shovel snow. Give Buffalo a damn Six Flags or something. Sheesh. All right, Huffy. We're not going to get to Jordan Love today. We've already gone past the hour. We'll carry on Jordan Love. There's going to be plenty of time to talk about Jordan Love and his big contract that he's getting ready to get. But guys, that's going to be it for Overreaction Tuesday. Wednesday, we got something special for you. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I don't know what it is yet. Something special's coming. I lie. We out. Coffee, send us out. 6 days a week.